A very good evening to you. I'm Pearson Bowen. The Minister of Education, Ronald Jones, has come out in defence of the principal of Harrison College, who recently took a position on certain natural hairstyles. Juanita Wade came in for a lot of criticism on social media over her stance. Mr. Jones says school is not a fashion parade, stressing that the job of a principal is not an easy one.
For that leader to be cussed and bastardized, particularly by those who were not there. You know what they're called? Malicious, wicked, seeking raw, naked sensationalism to feed their grass for money. That's what many of them are.
Mr. Jones says school uniforms should be worn with pride, as he expressed sadness after viewing two recent videos posted on social media. One involves students fighting and the other a student brandishing what appears to be a hammer. The education minister chastised people who stood by and filmed the acts, then posted them on social media.
You had to be standing there, positioning yourself to get the best video recording. That is insidious as well. And you become a participant in the violence. And then you perpetuate the violence by posting it on Facebook or YouTube or WhatsApp or whatever else is out there. We need, as human beings, to go through transformation, to change for the better.
As hotels across the island continue to report one of the best winter seasons on record, the ever-growing villa sector is seeing great numbers as well. That's according to leader of Blue Sky Luxury, Kathy Dawn Burke. Ms. Burke was speaking during the launch of the first ever loyalty program for repeat guests and owners of villas in Barbados. The launch was held at George Washington House last evening. Those in the loyalty program will benefit from a range of privileges. Ms. Burke says they have about 120 properties in their portfolio, ranging from condos to large estates along the West Coast.
We've got several partners on board who have offered us exclusive packages and exclusive deals and positioning for our guests and owners. So we're really excited this afternoon to be able to add value to all of the guests who've been staying with us for so many years over and over, and our owners who are loyal and wonderful to work with.
Manager Dominique Silveira says the company is expanding its reach within the region.
Basically, our expansion was to serve the needs of our guests. Guests wanted to see some other islands and really experience all of the Caribbean. So Barbados, of course, will always be home base and our first priority, but we do holiday rentals in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Antigua, St. Barts, St. Martin, and Dominica. And we have a few more on the horizon for 2015.
Electricity has been restored to homes and businesses in St. Michael and surrounding areas after a major power outage just before midday today. The outage even forced the Senate to suspend its morning sitting to 1:30 this afternoon. After investigations, the Barbados Light and Power Company has been able to rectify the problem. BL&P Communications Coordinator Nicole Stewart gives an update on the situation.
Today, Friday, January 23rd at 11:29 a.m., several areas across the island were impacted by an electricity outage when a tree fell on one of our 24 kV lines in Wilde St. Michael. It caused a fault on the network, which fed back to our generators, affecting service to several areas across the island for a brief period. By 11:44 a.m., service was restored to most of our customers, with the exception of those in the Wilde area to whom power was restored after repair work was completed. Light and Power apologizes for the inconvenience caused to its customers affected by today's outage.
Senator KHL Tony Marshall is now the new ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations office in New York. This announcement was made last evening via a release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Senator Marshall will replace Joseph Goddard as Barbados' permanent representative to the United Nations. It was also revealed that Yvonne Walks has been appointed as the High Commissioner to Canada. Ms. Wachs will be taking up the position previously held by Evelyn Graves as Barbados High Commissioner in Ottawa. The Ambassador-designate and the High Commissioner-designate are expected to assume their posts in New York and Ottawa on completion of their orientation, which has commenced. Well, despite lower rates in the industry, a number of Barbadians are still not acquiring health insurance. This is according to Richard Ince, the General Manager of Bryden's Insurance Incorporated. He made the comment during a launch event for the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry's annual Walk the Talk event.
There's still a tremendous number of Barbadians who are not covered by health insurance. And that is a concern. Our penetration in accident and health insurance is lower than it should be, because if you become ill and you don't have insurance, basically you can become then a burden on the health services, the social services and so on. It basically allows a person to be independent.
Mr. Ince says the insurance industry in Barbados continues to be mostly a buyer's market.
The insurance industry generally is very much in the region of a buyer's product right now. The rates are coming down. Coverages are becoming better. The competition is tremendous in the market. It is our intent to be one of the more competitive insurers and also to provide obviously superior claim service. We have a unit in our company devoted exclusively to dealing with accident and health insurance.
Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Maxine McLean, says the tax that will be imposed on commercial banks and credit unions is a temporary special measure. Leading off debate on the tax on Assets Bill 2015, Senator McLean says everyone, including credit unions, will have to share in the sacrifice.
There has been an international debate for many years about whether credit unions should be taxed. And I want to say this, that is not this government's intention to, as I said, open the door to taxing credit unions. This government recognizes that as a financial institution, a credit union is different from a commercial bank.
Senator McLean says smaller credit unions will be cushioned from the full impact of the tax.
Looking at this tax, a decision was taken to ensure that we all share in the burden. But in order to do that, we talk about protecting the vulnerable. There are some small credit unions which would also have been protected. So by imposing a threshold of $40 million, this would probably make the tax applicable to about 6 or 7 credit unions.
Government Senator Jepta Ince says while some people may feel that credit unions will be disadvantaged by the tax on assets legislation, this is not the case. Senator Ince says when the numbers are calculated, the credit unions will be paying less than the commercial banks.
So if you're going to use 1/3 to arrive at the average asset base, one would realize that the taxes paid by a banking institution that has $5 billion or $3 billion is going to be greater than the taxes paid by a credit union or other institutions that is $40 million.
But independent Senator Tony Marshall says credit unions should have been excluded from paying taxes under the Tax on Assets Bill. He says more consideration should have been given to the credit union movement. Senator Marshall says 90% of credit union members are working-class Barbadians and they will feel the effects of the tax the most.
I would suspect that you would not find very high average deposits within the credit union movement by members. And therefore, what I am looking to suggest is that this tax, therefore, deprives the lower end of the totem pole of a better share of profits at the end of the year.
As far as Senator Marshall is concerned, commercial banks should be made to pay the majority of the tax because they are not locally owned.
And therefore they must pay their way in this country to enjoy the facilities, the infrastructure, the communications that we give them. And I say that with some degree of comfort,
Well, the bill was passed. In other news now, a postman is one of 2 people set to appear in the District A Magistrates Court tomorrow morning on multiple counts of fraud and other offences. They are 30-year-old Dwayne Omar Brathwaite of Exton Village, Blackrock, St. Michael, and 36-year-old Roslyn Aline of Ruby, St. Philip. Police say Brathwaite is charged with 17 counts of putting off on a forged instrument, 10 counts of attempting to obtain on a forged instrument, and 5 counts of obtaining money on a forged instrument. The police say Aline is charged with 26 counts of uttering a forged instrument, 10 counts of attempting to obtain on a forged instrument, 16 counts of obtaining money on a forged instrument, and 1 count of going equipped. Brathwaite, a postman at the St. George Post Office, is accused of stealing a number of pension checks sometime between December 2014 and January 2015, while police say Aline received the stolen checks and presented them to a business establishment where they were cashed. We'll take a break here and have more news after the break, but first we'd like to get your take on this question. Do you believe the tax on credit unions will affect their operations? Yes or no to the short code 8111. The results are coming up at the end of the news.
Win a cruise this year with Byco. Just spend $10 on any Byco product and claim a scratch card. You could win 2 7-day Carnival cruises, courtesy of Foster & Ince, and 2 dinner cruises from Black Pearl Party Cruises, or one of 501 liters of Byco ice cream and 1,000 Byco bandanas. See press for a list of participating outlets or call Byco at 430-2100.
You just got into a car accident. Now you have to fix it and you don't have a cent. Don't worry, be happy. Your home got flooded out and you've lost it all, and chances to recover start to look very small. Don't worry, be happy.
Want to live the worry-free life today? Call us at Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt. Beacon Insurance, switched on.
One time they had thought of building it up like where the hospital is now, and dredging out all of that area and building a harbour up in there. But that would have taken up a lot of valuable land. You couldn't have expanded it. And I suppose that eventually they thought, well, the most sensible thing was to build it in the open sea there where they could expand it, and it has been expanded.
This is the story of Barbados' sea portal, the port of Bridgetown, and it's coming soon to CBC TV8.
A one-off act of kindness is laudable, and a few acts of kindness are commendable. But the woman in this next story has been consistently showing acts of kindness to children of all ages for the past 13 years, and she has no intention of stopping. Ryan Broom has more.
A St. Michael fish vendor is showing that the spirit of giving need not only start and end at Christmas time.
Sharon Bellamy Thompson loves people. The fish vendor, who normally plies her trade at the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex, especially loves children and the elderly. She has been consistently hosting events for children, mainly using her own resources and occasionally donations from others for more than a decade, both at her home and at various venues around the island.
Well, from a young girl, I saw my mother, Maureen Bellamy, like cooking and looking after people. So I like that too, because I remember myself, like when children would come over and they have nothing to eat, I would go into the cupboards and empty my mother's cupboard. And when she go looking for stuff for us to cook, there was nothing. So, you know, I have a great love. I can see no one in need. Like sometimes late at night, I will be passing the road and I will see like a less person trying to go in a bin, and I will say, oh my God, I can't do this. And I will stop and lend them a helping hand, take them to Shafet, because that is what I told God that I want to do, to look after his people.
In fact, she makes sure to treat the children every holiday, and most recently she organized a day of fun and food for 40 of them at the Hilton Barbados on Aerobaro Day. In addition to the Hilton, she says Hanshelinus and Byco also help to make the day special.
I usually bring the kids to have fun at the Hilton Hotel, and this afternoon I want to thank Mr. George Starfield, the general manager of the Hilton Hotel, and human resource manager Charles Corbin for having me and my 40 kids over for a fun day at the Hilton Hotel, where they told me that my children will be involved in everything that's happening at the hotel.
The Hilton's activities manager, Kenrick Broom, says they were pleased to partner with Sharon to make it a very special day for the children.
Activities like these, which you saw today with the kids and stuff, we get involved in that. And it's a pleasure doing activities with the children here that you're seeing today. It really was a pleasure, and they seem to enjoy it a lot. And for the locals out here, you know, you are welcome to come and do some activities with us. We have day passes, which involves that, so you can come on down on weekends and whatnot, and we can entertain your children.
As for the children, well, they truly had a blast on the day, whether it was using the pool, playing basketball, air hockey, table tennis, or even doing the limbo. They certainly love the fact that Sharon gives so much of her time and herself, and they wouldn't have it any other way.
Sharon Bellamy is the best person that I know. She's very loving. She loves to give, and if she doesn't have it, she'll find it for you. She's a very loving person, and that's what I love about her. Sharon is a loving, caring person. She takes us places. Sometimes we have sleepovers. We have fun together, and I love her.
I like Sharon because she's a very special woman. I love her because she has wonderful children, and I love her because she helps the homeless, and I really like her.
So with more and more Barbadians like Sharon Bellamy Thompson, Barbados' future is certainly well assured. Ryan Broom, CBC News.
Ren, thanks. Barbados is going to Hollywood. This announcement from writer and director Marcia Weeks of the film Vigilante: The Crossing, as she was speaking at a press conference at the Olympus Theatres. This is the latest film produced by Step by Step Productions. This film, however, tackles racial issues under the theme of one race. The pre-screening has received very positive feedback and is expected to be shown in March at the Olympus Theatres.
We're here today, we're excited with a great announcement that our film has been officially selected for the Pan-African Film Festival in LA. So we are, in short, we're going to Hollywood, okay? So we're very, very excited. We worked very, very hard on the film. And this opportunity, we're super thrilled about it. And what's happening is that we're finding people are just so excited and want to support us. And so for us, it's Barbados Goes to Hollywood. It's not Vigilante, because everybody's just so excited for us, the Ministry of Culture. And we know there are many more that are going to get on, you know, and help us to get there.
Lead actor Kirk Brown, acting as Dexter Gooding, says he has had to adapt to suitably fill the role of the character to help make the film a success.
Being the lead, you had a lot more challenges. You had the lines to learn, the fight scenes, the martial arts. Of course, I still had to maintain my radio presence, so I really appreciate the team working on that. Radio in the morning, then they shot through the day, into the night, into the morning, shower, back to radio. So it was 24 hours every day. Non-stop, which I do all the time, but it was more fun, and you learn a lot on set, and you can only grow from there. You know, it was an honor to do this role. I know Marcia could have chosen anyone, but so I really want to make sure to push and not let her down.
Still to come, a look at stories making headlines across this region, but first a reminder, we'd like to hear from you. On the question of, do you believe the tax on credit unions will affect their operations? Text yes or no to the short code 8111. Those results we'll share at the end of the news. You can also follow CBC News on Twitter at CBC_Barbados and on Facebook, CBC News Barbados.
One time they had thought of building it up like where the hospital is now, dredging out all of that area and building a harbour up in there. But that would have taken up a lot of valuable land. You couldn't have expanded it. And I suppose that eventually they thought, well, the most sensible thing was to build it in the open sea there where they could expand it, and it has been expanded.
This is the story of Barbados' Sea Portal, the port of Bridgetown, and it's coming soon to CBC TV8.